Media consultant Kris to help us answer some of our viewers' questions this morning. So, Kris, good morning to you. I first want to play a question from our NewsNation viewer in New Jersey, Sally Saffarelli. She has a daughter in college who, no surprise, frequently uses social media. Let's take a listen to her first question.
I feel it's the unspoken addiction that we keep under the radar. So many people, especially teens, they rely on Instagram and TikTok for their approval as to what's good and what's accepted and what's not. Why are we so afraid to say that social media has contributed to anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, aggression, and unfortunately even suicide?
What do you think?
Well, so I think the tide is turning actually around this. So a recent study that just came out recently revealed that taking a 1-week break away from social media can actually reduce depression, anxiety, and overall feelings of angst that have to do with social media. So I think the solution here is actually to really fund more of these studies and the actual medical research and psychological research around social media, like the study that we just saw. And I think, again, we're going to see a lot more of that as big tech regulation comes under fire.
But a lot of the studies seem to suggest the same thing, right? That social media does contribute to a teen, especially to girls' sense of, how they should look, how they should perform, their competition, etc. We kind of have an idea of the negative effects of it, don't we?
We do have an idea of the negative effects. We don't necessarily have a full understanding of the algorithm and the amplification of how the algorithm works. Ideally, with something like Elon Musk coming now, that will certainly change that with Twitter, so that we can really take a look behind the scenes of what is actually going on to amplify specific content underneath these platforms.
Okay, let's listen to Sally's next question.
What can we now do to reverse some of these addictive tendencies that social media is causing?
That's a good one.
Well, I always say, if you're a parent, you're worried about your kids on social media, have conversations with them. That is actually one of the best things that you can do. If your child is being bullied on social media, if they're being harassed on social media, if they really just don't know what to do, that can really become extremely isolating and can lead to further depression and loneliness. So have a conversation and let your child know that there are options and that there is help for your child. I'd also encourage social media minimalism. And what do I mean by that? Take certain breaks on social media. For example, on the weekend, you could put your account on private, right? So that can lessen the amount of interaction that you have on social media. During the week, you can put certain locks on your phone and limit your screen time on Instagram, TikTok, and you can also change some of the different settings and specific parental controls on TikTok as well now.
Okay, and Sally has one last question. Let's listen to that.
How can we get the right people to listen to these concerns and treat this disease?
So I think the right people are listening to the concerns right now in terms of big tech and regulation. What's really fascinating, though, that I would say is that the EU is just so much further along than the US is in terms of data privacy. One of the big things that we're going to be looking to see is the enforcement of the Digital Services Act in the EU and how that really does and plays out. Elon Musk has specifically said that he will comply with it in terms of Twitter if he takes over Twitter. But what we really need to do is see more things like the Digital Service Act or GDPR, but in the US and even with more stricter regulation. I think if you really want to address these issues, it starts with stricter privacy laws.
Okay, Kris, thank you. And thank you to our viewer, Sally, for sending in those questions. It is an important conversation. We appreciate both of you. And you can send us your questions.